Every story has an author. Every author has a story. Join us for off-the-page interviews, inside stories, and a look into the world of publishing. This is Page Turners. Welcome to Page Turners, presented by the agency at Brown Books. My name is Hilary Kennedy, and today we are going to be chatting with Julie Hornok, who is a woman of so many talents. She is a mother of three, an advocate for families living with autism, a blogger, the founder of United in Autism, and most recently, the author of United in Autism, Finding Strength Inside the Spectrum. The book will be released October the 2nd, and not only is she here, but we also have the treat of having her daughter, Lizzie, with us. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, all right, so Julie, you've been a long-time blogger and editor, but now you have added author to the long list of things that you do. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect from your first book.
Sure. So when you receive the diagnosis of autism for one of your children, it can be very isolating. And what I wanted to do was find people across the world that were completely rocking autism. And so I wanted to find people that in the midst of it, whether their kid got better or whether their kid didn't, that they had the key to success or the key to living in happiness and peace. And so there's 30 stories in the book, and each of them kind of shows a different aspect of autism that maybe the outside world would not understand or know. So it's kind of like the autism insider world. And then it also shows how they reached out for help and then were able to help others through their journey and just find peace and happiness within right where they are.
I love that. And you decided, like you said, to compile stories from different people all over the world and write a book about it. Why did you decide to do that instead of writing a book that only centered on your child?
Well, I could write 2 books on everything we went through with Lizzie from the beginning, and so I am writing that book. But the first book, I wanted to really just showcase families that were different, that had a different God, that had a different culture, that had a different race. And I wanted to find out what we had in common and focus on that. And I really did find that we have more in common than not. And it was so intriguing for me to see that, but I found they were interested in the same thing. They wanted to know what it was like living in the United States with autism. And I thought that if we could focus on the things we all had alike, then that would bring hope to the families that were going through it.
Right, and have you kept in contact with some of those families?
Yeah, we are right now on our little Facebook Live. We're doing like Facebook Lives on our Facebook page. And I'm talking with them, kind of getting more into their lives. And what I want people to realize that even though these people that I've interviewed and that their stories are shared are extremely inspiring, and they've done a lot to help others, they're also just normal people that went through all the same things. I mean, we all went through the process of finding out our child had autism, and we went through the hard times, and just to give inspiration to others that they can go through it, they can get there too.
Right, that's very cool. Well, and you mentioned some of the challenges that you had with Lizzie when she was younger. Describe some of the obstacles that you and Lizzie and just your whole family faced back then and how you got through it.
Well, she was diagnosed right after she was 2, and what you would not be able to tell from the beautiful person she's become today is that when she was diagnosed, she didn't have any language and any awareness of the world, any communication at all. And so we dove into 30 hours of therapy, and I had an older son at that time, and then soon after that I'd have another baby. And so it changes your world as you know it, where we're home all the time. There's no more play dates at the park or at the mall or meeting friends. And so that really changes how the family is structured, and we're in 2-hour increments. We're 2 hours of therapy, a little break, 2 more hours of therapy. We had just built my dream home for my family that I hope to live in forever. My father is a home builder, and I was able to design and build this house. It was like from my forever home. And it turns out the school district wasn't the best for autism, and so we moved out of that, and we needed the money anyway for therapy, and we moved into this really old 1970s home, and the home didn't only have like orange countertops, it was like painted white too.
Man.
It was pretty nasty, but it was a house where she healed, and we were just trying to hold it together. We went from thinking we had it all together and that we were rocking life to really just trying to survive. And so I had to tell myself, I had to give myself permission to kind of let everything else go.
Wow,
So
that's hard.
Yeah, the laundry wasn't done. everything else on the outside wasn't getting done, but she was getting better.
Awesome. And so what steps did you take to kind of help facilitate that process?
Well, we started out by looking at the physical things that seemed to be off, like digestive issues, and so we really focused in on changing diet, clean diet, and then doing some testing to see what else in the body wasn't level, and supplements and that type of thing. And then we added in all of the therapy, and so we added in ABA therapy, we added in speech, OT, and we even did something called sensory gymnastics. And this was my very favorite thing that we did because it felt normal. Everything else we did felt like we were in this world nobody understood. And so I'd get so excited. And Lizzie at first wouldn't even sit in the circle. she wouldn't even participate in the class. But we did a social story, and then she really took to it. And let me tell you something about this girl. This girl, she is such a hard worker. So she took maybe 3 years to get a forward roll. And then she ended up going up in classes, and she was with all typical kids in her class, and she had the typical kids looking at her wanting to be like her because she would come home from gymnastics and she would work like 2 hours.
Wow.
And she ended up surpassing all of them and getting her big round off back handspring that was like the biggest day of our lives. It was so exciting. But it's, we did all these things, but it wouldn't have worked if her work ethic hadn't been so strong.
Right.
And so it's so impressive when you see her go for something she wants. She just gets it.
Well, I love listening to your mom talk about your personality. How would you describe your personality?
I would actually describe my personality like kind and sweet, very overjoying, and just a happy person that wants to go, that loves to do everything.
I love that. I love it. You're a go-getter. I love that.
She is. She really is.
Well, so what advice would you give to parents who are in the same situation that you were in, and maybe they've just had a child diagnosed with autism?
I would tell them just to keep a marathon mindset. As moms and dads too, I know I did this, and this was my mistake, was you jump in so strong. I didn't sleep for a year. Every second, I just exhausted myself and let everything else go. And just keeping that marathon mindset of, okay, we have her whole life, and noticing that these little steps, we get a little jump in speech and a little jump in her ability maybe not to flap arms or something like that. It all adds up, and it all adds up to progress, to a child that is becoming the best version of themselves. And then also not forget, just remembering to stop, because you're always trying to okay, we got to get to this milestone and this milestone and this milestone. Just stop, take a breath, and
Right.
have joy in the moment. Really appreciate your child for who they are right now, because they are a wonderful being just as they are in the midst of autism, and learning to love that.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I love is you really do like to reach out to other people that are struggling with the same thing, and you're the founder of United in Autism events. So tell us about that and the mission.
Yeah, this is my baby. This is what once Lizzie began to progress, it gave me just freed up energy. And maybe I was used to just working so hard all the time I didn't know what to do with myself, but I had free mental energy, and I put together an event through the National Autism Association of North Texas, an event that would just pamper moms, because as moms, we are stuck in our houses, we're stuck at therapy, we're stuck driving, and we have no way to really connect on a personal level. We're online talking, we knew each other by our screen names, we didn't even know each other's real names, so we have to wear name tags at the events. So we started the events where we would do this incredible day of pampering. We had to make it worth it for them to get a sitter and to come out, because it's very hard.
Right.
And it was kind of like I wanted to give them like their Oprah experience, where we gave them a massage and we had an inspirational speaker. And I found by doing this that as you bring these moms together, I'm not just giving them a day, we're giving them hope for a long time, because they're meeting people and coming out of their isolation and meeting maybe someone that's their best friend that will carry them, and they're keeping in touch, and then that'll carry them through the hard times.
So Julie, I know a lot of people feel really isolated when they get this sort of diagnosis. So what do you tell people that feel like they're alone in this?
They're not. You're not alone, and I want them to know that if you reach out, you will find help. And even as simple as doing a Google search or a Facebook search just for autism and your town, you'll be able to find some support. even hopefully in the local city nearby, if not right in your own suburb or town, and just really take the effort to go, even though it's exhausting, take the effort to go out and meet people face to face that are going through the same thing, because it's really a lot easier to get to know someone whenever you're face to face and to form that bond and form that friendship.
Definitely. Well, Lizzie, I love that your mom's been bragging on you during the interview, and she's also, written this book. How do you feel about her being a published author?
It's gonna feel really great for my mom to actually do this and reach out to other people in the world. It's gonna be so awesome when that book comes out, and it'll inspire others for a future residents.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you have accomplishments that you're really proud of. I know your mom's mentioned some that she's proud of that you've done, but what are some things that you're really proud of that you've accomplished?
Back handspring. I did cheerleading, which is so awesome.
That's really fun. Man, I wish I could do a back handspring.
What about whenever you were voted on the homecoming court? That was kind of a big deal.
That was really awesome.
That's fantastic.
For people to really start liking me.
That is wonderful. So Lizzie, I know growing up that you had experiences with some kids that maybe weren't treating you very kindly. So what advice would you have to other kids that were in your situation?
Just to be strong, be kind, don't be ugly to others, and you should be proud of what you've done. If you never accomplished something, just be proud of what you've done in the past.
I love that. That's just good life advice in general. And then Julie, I know that in the book, one of the parents, Kirk Smith, quotes the Serenity Prayer in his story. So what role would you say that faith plays in your life and your work?
Faith is just completely integrated into everything I do, and it's made me extremely aware of my deficiencies and humbled me in a way to know that I'm not better than anyone else, and that I really need to draw on my faith for strength, for the ability to show kindness to others, and really just to do what I need to do every single day.
Well, how would you say autism has really changed you?
Oh man, it's changed me so much. It's changed my perspective on the world of people that are going through hard things, just to show a little more compassion. And as a mom, I've really learned. I have the funniest story. When Lizzie was young, she's heard me tell this story before, but when she was really young, as a mom, you feel judged. And not even just as a mom of a child with autism, but in general, when you take your kid out, people are looking to you for expectations. And so one time we went to a restaurant, and we ordered at the counter, and then Lizzie ran off and went to the booth. And she stood up on the booth, and then she grasped the side of the booth, and she started jumping. And I knew as a mom, okay, there's a lot of smells that aren't familiar. There's a lot of sounds that aren't familiar. This is not a familiar place. She's getting very overwhelmed. And this is how she was trying to keep herself from melting down. And so she starts jumping and jumping and jumping louder and louder and louder. And I realized people are starting to look, and they're looking at her. And then I realized, no, they're not looking at her. They're looking at me, waiting for me to be like, knock it off, kid.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, for me, I had to decide, am I going to parent for others? Or am I going to parent for what's best for my child? And so I kind of paused, and maybe for a little drama, said it pretty loud, and I looked at her and I said, "Good jumping, Lizzie." And the mouths around the room just, dropped, and I thought I was going to want to pack up my stuff and leave, but instead I felt this peace of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is, as a parent, as any parent, what we're supposed to be doing is parenting what's best for our child.
Right. I love that.
It's very freeing.
Well, and that's such a good lesson in that you can't judge a situation from the outside.
No, you don't know what's going on in the person sitting next to you at a restaurant. You don't know what's going on in their life.
Right.
You don't know what their situation is. And lots of times kids with autism, they don't have a marker. You would never be able to tell that they have autism. They look completely normal. And so judging that, you can't. You just have to give everyone grace.
That's a great story. I love that you have accomplished so many things, both of you. All that you've done, being a mom, an author, an activist, is just the tip of the iceberg. How do you find time for yourself in all of this?
It's all priorities. As humans, we like to make excuses, and so I just have to decide to do it. And so that's the first step into it. And finding time, for me, it's hot yoga. I love doing that. It clears my mind, and it keeps me in shape, and gets those endorphins going. And you just have to make the time. You have to make it a priority.
Well, I love your story. I love what you're doing. And Lizzie, it was so great to get to meet you. You'll have to show me your back handspring sometime because I want to see it.
It's probably going to be like in the middle of nowhere where a bunch of planes are.
We'll go out to an open field and you can just do a bunch of back
Or maybe a huge field of like loop on it.
That would be
There we
pretty.
go.
That's what we need to
opportunity.
do. Well, thank you guys both so much for being here. I can't wait for the book to come out, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for watching Page Turners. We're excited for you to come back and see us next time.